Hello viewers, wherever you're watching us from, welcome to another edition of your weekly State of Affairs program here on QTV. We're broadcasting from the Gambia in West Africa. I'm your host, Aliou Cisse, with my co-host, Sidi Cisse. Sidi, welcome to the program once again.
Thank you very much, Ali.
Well, thank you very much, Sidi. Tonight, we are joined by Dr. Ebrahim Jagne, is the party leader and Secretary General of the All People's Party. Mr. Jagne actually replaces Gumbo Toure, who resigned sometime last year due to what he said was family reason. And, you know, while resigning, he said this thing, and I quote, "While some of you may be disappointed, let me assure you, I am handing over to capable hands. In Dr. Baibiran Jagne, referring to Dr. Jagne, who replaces me, I find a person of integrity, a man of impeccable character and natural modesty." Dr. Jagne, welcome to the State of Affairs program.
Thank you very much. I'm pleased.
Yes, you joined the All People's Party in 2018, and then you have promised that APP will lead by example. But before we get to that, to find out how you will do this thing, can you just take us through who inspired you to join politics?
Who inspired me? If I go back in history, and I have to a little, because my interest in politics actually started when I was in Spain. I left the Gambia '73, and I went to Spain, like all Gambians who were ambitious at that time to study, because there we had no university. So I went to Spain, and while I was in Spain, I studied, did my high school again in Spanish, do the university exam, entrance exam, and I passed. And then I entered medical school. But during my studies here, somehow, I don't know why, it just dawned to me, I started to think, who are we? Who are Africans? Why are we in this situation that we are? This is 1973. So I started reading books, not medical books. I was still in medical school, but on my spare time, I was reading books, books like Life of Patrick Lumumba, Life of Mao Zedong, and then I read a lot on Kwame Nkrumah's writings. Cheikh Anta Diop, his book, The Origin of African Civilization. And then I read Susan George. Susan George at that time wrote a book called How the Other Half Dies. That really got me. Then I reflected on what he wrote, and then what I read in the other books. Then I started to think, maybe I shouldn't study medicine, I should get into politics. But I decided that no, I need to get a profession that I think I would love if I practice. So, but really that's when I started taking politics. However, you may know I left Spain and went to the United States, did my medical training, and then came back home. I did a specialty in medicine, and I returned to university and did a PhD in health science. My thesis was on malaria. So all the time, my interest was Africa. Good to tell you that I am one of those Gambians who have been abroad. I have a green card in 1980, and I refused to be American. I don't want to be American. So I came back to this country just before I got here. On my way back here in 1990, I got an offer to Saudi Arabia. That I was there for the Gulf War. When I came back, I was working at the RVH. So Dr. Jones, Yuri Jones, and myself set up the emergency department. During that time, I remembered, I'm not going to name political parties, but some parties approached me, and they know me, and they said, "We want you to join our party." I said, "No, I'm not in politics." Then I happened to return to the United States in '93, and then before I left, I founded an NGO. That I funded totally. There was no sponsor. So I returned and I opened the Lamin Health Center, because Lamin Health Center, Lamin Village at that time, this is during the PPP government, about 93, 94. The community had built, had a building erected, and they appealed to the PPP government and said, "Look, we want to have a health center." And the PPP government said, "Well, we cannot, it's not in our agenda, we haven't planned for it, so we can't provide anything for you except what I sometimes call the maximum, or whatever you see, wherever you see it is the minimum." However, they end up having the health center staff in Banjul coming to Lamin every fortnight to do child welfare, and also prenatal fortnightly. So I decided that I could take that clinic and make it a day clinic, and that's how I was able to recruit American doctors and nurses in '93, '94 to come and join me to open the clinic.
You talk about at the time being approached to join some political parties, but you said you weren't interested in politics.
Right.
Why?
Why? Because first of all, I thought I could better serve the people in doing medicine. practicing medicine. And I did what I could do. 1994, you may know or you may not, when I opened the clinic, patients were paying $25 a. You pay $25 a, you got your screening, blood test, urine test, and then you see a doctor, and then you get all the medications for $25 a, except that those which we don't have in stock. They may write a prescription. And that went on. I was the sole financier of the clinic. I had no sponsors. The volunteers were coming on voluntary basis. They didn't charge anything, but that's how it went, 94, 95, 96. And I tell you again, during that period, a couple of political parties came also and said, you are famous in this area, we want you to join. I said, no, I'm not going to politics. Curiously to know, Jagne came there, he was very impressed. He found the clinic very hot. He said, you don't have air condition, I want to offer an air condition. You can pick it up at the state. I said, no. He said, why? I said, the power cannot even light our bulbs. How can we get an air conditioner? I'll give you a generator that might probably be enough for the quarter of the village to have power from me. I said, no, we're not interested because that air conditioner is only for me. We don't have night service. Then he turned around and said, okay, I'll give an ambulance. Then I got an ambulance. I said, oh yeah, I'll take an ambulance. Because at that time, I was using my car and a volunteer driver to take patients to then Royal Victoria Hospital if they need to be admitted. So a couple of months later, the APRC at that time, then Jagne was now civilian president, APRC youth group in Lamin came to me and said, the president is coming on a Sunday and he wants us to put a chair by him so he can sit by him. And I know what that meant. I refused to go. And after that, I got a lot of calls, a lot of messages that the president wants to join him. I said, no, I'm not into politics. You may now ask, why do you now enter politics?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, we want to know why now?
Well, before that, experience, do you have, from what we have heard from him, there seems to be no experience as far as electoral politics is concerned?
Absolutely. I have no experience in politics. But I thought to myself, after all these years, I said, I've been practicing medicine, all right? I see 20 patients a day, that's all it is, all right? Of course, life is very precious, and those patients who came needed some help because of the health issues. But then I've reflected back on many philosophical thoughts, and one of them was that if, a Greek philosopher said this, if you allow, if the wise people hold their hands and allow the fools around the country, then that's what you get. So in other words, what I'm trying to tell you is, if the educated people who are, I call technocrats, like myself, refuse to get involved in government, then the fools around the country.
Before Sidi comes in, we just trying to look at the issue of this experience in electoral politics. I mean, one will have said, why not Dr. Jagne just start with, perhaps, contesting in council or National Assembly, but straight to the highest office of the land?
Right.
Why do you think people should really take you serious and vote you in?
I think being at the apex will give you a tremendous opportunity to handle the running of this country, the running of the government of this country. We have lacked in the last couple of years an exemplary leadership in this country. I think this country needs, in the apex of government, a technocrat. Little background on myself. I happen to have had training with the Taiwanese as a rights expert. I was the one repairing their power tillers, and I was sent to Taiwan to study. It wasn't a long time. It was just a couple of months, like 9 months. I came back, I continued, but I decided I want to study more. Then that's what happened. But anyway, entering politics gives anyone who aims to be in the leadership a broader dimension of what this country should be. Because you are going to now handle the budget and the governance of this country. Not like a carpenter or a masoner who only serves one person at a time. You're facing the whole nation, and the whole budget is in your hand. And that's what I think got me into politics.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jagne. Earlier on, you said you actually don't have any experience as far as electoral politics is concerned.
Right.
Why do you think we have to vote for you? Why you, if not someone else?
Right, because I happen to be in a party called All People's Party. This party wasn't formed by an individual. This party, since 2015, had a group of Gambians, average age 30, 35, during Jagne's time, who were meeting in their little corners and talking about the problems of the country. They evolved, and they called themselves at that time concerned citizens for better Gambia. They evolved until 2017. Then they said, we could actually form a party. Then they started documenting things and doing more work on paperwork to be able to form a party. Then in 2019, or 2018, 2019, they started inviting intellectuals like Gumbo and there are other Gambians, intellectuals, who are even in government. Some are now retired. But Gumbo was appealing, and he's quite a character. He's quite experienced. He's very knowledgeable, experienced in the Gambia, experienced abroad. He's an international planner. So he got involved, and when they had their meetings, they began to form what they call the interim executive. This was before they even registered as a political party. And then Gumbo was given the position. They elected him as the interim executive party leader. So that continued until when we registered. After we registered, things changed. But I got into the party in 2019. Okay. I was in New York.
This party was already in formation, when you joined them.
Exactly. So
what make you to join them, not other parties who were here?
Right. They have presented a document that really impressed me. It was an all-inclusive party. First of all, this party became known as All People's Party, not by chance. They had a list of 20 other names that they could have used, and they decided, no, the most appropriate was All People's Party, because it was across the board of all Gambian ethnic background. I don't want to talk about that because we are all Gambians, and there's no ethnicity breaking down here. So that impressed me. And then their manifesto and the things that, when I went to their meetings, what I heard. So eventually, I was made deputy interim party leader. And then
this was when Gumbo left?
No, before he left, I was his deputy. Okay. And then the party got registered, and then we had our first Congress. I remember Gumbo telling me, I'm sorry, my friend, I'm not going to contest the leadership. I think I need to step down. I said, why? He said, family reasons, and also we need to have young people in the party to assume the leadership. Of course, Gumbo is my age. It's my age group. So he said, I'm sure what he was thinking. If I'm going to be leader, you're going to be my deputy, and therefore we are all going to be, of not the average age that we want. So that's what happened. So Gumbo, during the Congress, decided to step down. He refused to present an application. Curiously enough, when we went to Congress, a few days or a week before we went to Congress, we actually advertised our executive positions in the media, because we wanted any Gambian who thinks that he could who could work with us to come and said, this is my CV, I want to be part of you. And we got a couple. And some people applied. I applied because I now wanted to be in the leadership. But I didn't get in the party as planning to be in the leadership. No, I was just going to be a participatory member who would contribute as much as any other.
So how
member.
big is the membership, per se, as far as...
you mean the party?
Yeah, APP is concerned.
Oh, we are quite large because we are able to get the required number of signatures to be able to register.
Anyone can get that? Anyone can go around, get somebody to present their voter's card and get that?
I can't give you any figures right now on what's, because we are still our guys right now in the protectorate, in the provinces, getting membership. Our membership cards have been distributed. And
so we don't know the data, actually, the number of supporters you have.
Well, I can tell you.
Because if you're giving out your membership cards, obviously you should be able to know
how many. At least we have 10,000 membership now. At least 10,000. And that's across the country, not only in one area. So we are evolving, and it's going very fast. Every day, people are asking for membership cards from all corners of the country. Okay. And we have militants all over the country. Okay. So that's where we are right now. So Gumbo decided that he wasn't running for the leadership, and I and others participated, and I was elected as the.
Thank you very much. Often we see in Africa, political parties would be going all over the place, but hardly would put their house in order. Saying their house in order, putting their house in order, they don't usually have a shadow government. You've been all over the place.
Right.
Places that you've been, you will see in the West, they'll have a shadow government. If you want to talk about health, there's somebody primarily responsible to address those issues, agriculture and stuff like that. As far as the APP is concerned, do you have a shadow government, for example?
That's in the making. I realized that this party, actually, from its registration today, is less than a year. So we are in the making. We have our agenda. We know what we're going to do for the country, and we know what we can do for the country. We believe that it's a party that's going to have, if we win the election, we're going to have technocrats at the apex, and technocrats who are content, who know what they're doing, who have experience within the country and outside, abroad.
We got 6 months to election.
Yes.
When are we going to have this shadow government announced?
I said it's in the making.
In the making can be up to next year.
No, not next year. Obviously next year after the elections. I could tell you that within the next 2 months.
Within the next 2 months, yes, we'll have APP shadow government.
Shadow government, yes.
Dr. Jagne, in one of your interviews, you said, and I quote, "I am convinced that a technocrat is what the Gambia needs." How does a technocrat look like?
A technocrat looks like me, someone who is well educated, even specialized in his field, and I've got tremendous experience within the country and outside the country. That's what Gumbo is. That's what I am, and lot of other members in our executive party, in the executive of our party. So that's what a technocrat is.
But do you think that's enough? I mean, perhaps some
well, that's not enough.
Especially in Africa, post-independence, most of these governments had technocrats in the
but we are technocrats with a difference. First of all, we are content. We haven't come to fill our pockets. You know the dilemma of Africa, all right? The dilemma of Africa is that the politicians, not all, but most politicians get into politics because they want to fill their pockets, all right? That's a reality. That's true. There's no question of finger pointing here. That's true. You look across the continent and you see most politicians. I mean, famous Pierre Lumumba said it very clearly, that the African politicians enter politics, and within a few years he's rich, very rich, on the expense of the populace, of his citizens, and that's very true. That's very true. So we are politicians with a difference. First of all, as I said, we are content. We are not entering government to fill our pockets. If I wanted to be rich, I wouldn't come back to do this.
But these are things that we have heard from several politicians, that we are not coming to enrich ourselves. We are here for the country. But when they get in, it's a different thing.
Right. But I'm telling you, you're doing wahed. We are not politicians. We are not people who are going to say something I wouldn't do it. I always say this, inshallah, what we say we're going to do it. I know what you said, and people are going to say, oh, it's another group who are just saying this, but they're going to do exactly what I said. That's not true. First of all, you have to look at our background, and I repeat this. If I wanted to be rich, or to continue to be rich, I'm not rich, but I'm content. I'm happy, alhamdulillah. I don't think I can get anything more in money than what I've already got. And I actually challenge the Gambian political party leaders. I said it more than 30 times, going to say it right now on TV, that I pledge half of my income to be given back to the Gambian people when I become president of this country. I pledge that. I give half of my income, half of the president's salary that I'll get back to the Gambian people. I don't need it. I don't know if the rest was it, but I always say this. Leadership is very difficult. The type of leader I will be, or the type of leader that All People's Party would have, is a leader who's going to set examples. Exemplary leadership, that's what we're going to have. We're going to fight in corruption, we're going to fight nepotism. First of all, with ourselves, those who are in government. That's why I say we're going to be exemplary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Jagne. Let's look at this. The problem in the Gambia today, everybody will agree that there are issues that needs to be addressed.
Yes.
And it's all over the place.
Yes.
When it comes to agriculture, you come to unemployment, you come to infrastructure, you come to energy. All these things are real issues that needs to be looked at.
Yes.
As the leader of APP, what would be your top main priorities in addressing, the issues we have at hand now in the Gambia?
I'll say it by saying this, that an empty stomach or a hungry person doesn't perform well. What I'm trying to say here is that we need to make sure Gambia has enough food to feed its people. We're going to make sure that we stop the importation of rice and even produce more rice to export. The Jawara government had a tremendous opportunity And it fell short of what was supposed to achieve because of what I called the imperial foreign aid syndrome. The imperial foreign aid syndrome is one of the sicknesses of Africa and African leadership. The first thing the African leadership or African president or government does after election is run around begging for money. You tell me, if a beggar is running around asking for money, do you think that man is going to use his brain? And exactly that's what happened when the Taiwanese were here. I worked with them. They provide the fertilizers, the seeds, the technician and the technologists, the Taiwanese themselves. They provide even the fuel. Even the fuel they bought them. But what happened? During that period, some of the fuel will be siphoned by or sold privately. I know, I saw it. Fertilizers that were supposed to be given free were sold. That being said, if the Jawara government had a plan B, the Taiwanese were left and we would have proceeded with the cultivation of rice and export rice. We have a tremendous river. We could be providing rice throughout the year. Not only that, Gambian water
Mr. Jagne,
table is very
sorry
high.
to interject here.
Yes.
Since the First Republic to the Second Republic to date, every political leadership would come with the same sweet, I would call it sugar trap.
Yes.
Say agriculture, and we have not seen anything different. What will make APP to do the different? What is going to be there that you guys going to nip on the butt and say this is what we're going to do, and at this time this is going to be done?
Because they didn't diagnose. They didn't tell us what the problem was.
So now what is the problem?
The problem is, if you have foreign aid, right, you have to have plan B. You have to have plan B. And not foreign aid is not what is going to take us out of problems. I categorically say foreign aid is not good for us. First of all, they condition you in terms of whatever loans, whatever they give you. Second, if they say they're going to give 20 million, for example, only 5 million gets to the country. We know that. Because they bring their own technocrats, they spend all that money on themselves before it gets there. Third, it makes us lazy not to think. Typical example I said, the Jawara government could have thought of a plan B. PP government could have thought of plan B. They never did. So when the Taiwanese left, because they switched to mainland China, reconnaissance of mainland China, what happened? The project fell off.
But you're talking
so
about...
I'm talking about, what I'm trying to tell you is, in a nutshell, I am a trained agriculturalist. And I know that when I get in that position, I know how to manage, how my government is going to make sure we are self-sufficient in rice production, not only rice, vegetable fruits. And we're going to make sure this Saro oil mill, okay, also is rehabilitated. What would happen if Gambia is able to export rice, okay, grow all its potatoes and onions, and have vegetables, and produce its own oil? The first thing we're going to realize is all the billions of dollars or millions of dollars that we are used to take, or we are taking right now to buy all this from abroad, will stay in this country. That's a tremendous asset for this country.
Dr. Jagne, here is a country that is a tax-based economy. I mean, since this government came into being, most of the funding come through its grants and all that. Right. If you said, okay, you are not going to accept this sort of support, these grants, where will you get the funds from?
No,
to actually implement some of this.
I'm not saying you're not going to accept. You're not going to accept the conditions that you are given. Do you know the amount
then they wouldn't give it to you.
Yes, they will give it to you. They will give it to you. What happened to Rwanda?
Where has it happened before? Where has it happened before? Because they have their conditions.
No. You ask the Rwandan president. He'll tell you exactly that. The conditions they accepted, the conditions Rwanda told them. And listen, the amount of money that has come in this country the last 5 years is more than what has come here.
Can you mention any other example of another country different from Rwanda? Because maybe the situation of Rwanda is quite very peculiar somehow.
Well, okay, let's go back to what I also call the post-colonial traumatic stress disorder. What happened to Africa hasn't happened to any nation. Okay, Gambia needs to orient. The Gambian people have to change their mentality. There's a lot of things wrong in this society. Okay, the politicians are dishonest. They're cheats. Okay,
which you belong to as a politician?
No, I call myself a technocrat.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
You are technically a politician.
Well, I call myself a politician with a difference. That's what I.
But we had that before. We had soldiers with a difference. We have politicians with a difference. And now you're sitting here looking at your fellow politicians saying that they are dishonest and they're cheats.
They are greedy.
That's what we've been saying all these years. So we come in to change all that, because we have an agenda to do that.
But what makes you think that they are dishonest and they're cheat? Because we don't, you cannot put any facts before us that the Sadauda, the Jagne, the Barrow are cheats.
Jawara's time, Jawara himself once said, please, Gambians, stop talking about for Takabibi Falaleke. He was desperate for his government, for his ministers or permanent secretary to change, or government functions to do the right thing and stop being using public funds.
But who used that phrase then? Who used that phrase before?
Sorry, say it again.
When that's
a Gambian mentality. That's what Gambians say all the time. That's wrong. So fala leke wa leka linga jo. Don't take everything. You take what's due to you. What's due to you. I believe it's all the money, okay, that is going into ghost employees. You know what I'm talking about. Ghost employees.
But this government came and said they've done high headcounts. They have get rid of all the ghost employees. Let's be specific here. All what you're saying, cheats and all this, is bottom down, it comes to one thing, that's corruption.
Yes.
How do APP eliminate or do away with corruption as far as the Gambia is concerned?
Okay. First of all, we got to make sure any government employee, starting from the presidency to the last civil servant, would have to have an asset declaration. You have to declare how many compounds you have, how many cars you have, how much you have in account, so that if you are in government, 2-3 years we see building a mansion, having 2-3 new cars. We're going to ask you where you got your money
Mr. Jan, we have seen governments here who came with similar method, but we have seen ministers who will put compounds in their daughter's name, in their cousin's name, in their brother's name, bank account in their cousin's name, in their brother's name, and they use friends to be fronts in their businesses. So how are you going to make account for those things?
Because they didn't have the infrastructure, they didn't have the mechanism to detect those.
So you mean today
there are loopholes.
You mean today if I take $100,000 and give it to my brother Aliu Cisse, it's my money. Aliu have that trust and I have that trust.
And we share the same surname.
We share the same, and you just go and put it in the bank for me. Aliu knows that's my money. Yes. I just gave him a kickback. How do you really deal with this? Because the mechanism that you are saying, I mean, for me, I'm not convinced.
The mechanism is going to work.
What is actually the mechanism?
The mechanism is going to be based on 3 things: financial probity, okay, transparency, right? Probity, financial probity, transparency, and what's the other one? Transparency and accountability.
You are talking about objectives,
yes,
not mechanisms. The mechanism here. We are in a country that we have informal sector. How many Gambians have a bank account, for example? So 68% of the workforce doesn't have a bank account, informal sector.
Yes.
So basically to swindle money is quite easy. So I really want you to convince me what mechanism you have in place to eliminate corruption. Well, because we are breeding corruption every day.
Every day. That's why I said that the Gambian mentality should be changed. We have to reset our mentality. And I give you examples. The same thing you talk about was probably the scenario that we had when Gambia becoming independent, as in China was, and Singapore. They were as poor as, even worse. The Chinese were dying. Okay? In 1965, in becoming independent, the Chinese were dying of hunger and not working. So what happened? They had a cultural revolution. So Gambia needs a cultural revolution that's different, not like the Chinese, but different from the Chinese. That would make the Gambians think differently. My typical example is we are in a technological age. So if someone is corrupt, typically you've been abroad. You know, in United States, you pay a police officer, you are arrested. Not only are you charged for the offense, traffic offense, in case you are in traffic, but you also charged for trying to bribe the police officer. Okay, so the problem is those are loopholes that need to be looked at. There are many ways to fight corruption. One of them, I said, is asset declaration. But there are other methods that we can put in place that would detect and stop corruption. I know the example you gave me, and that's probably is the most difficult one to handle.
Doctor,
but we can do it.
Can you point to any institution or an individual and say there's corruption there?
I'll give an example.
Okay, wait. Just hold on. Let's go on a short break, and when we come back, you will help me respond to that question.
Right.
Well, viewers, you remind that you're watching State of Affairs broadcasting here on QTV. We're broadcasting from the Gambia in West Africa. I'm your host, Aliou Cisse, with my co-host, Sidi Cisse. And our guest tonight is Dr. Ebrahim Jagne, party leader of the All People's Party. We'll go with a short commercial break, and when we return, discussion continues. Welcome back from that short commercial break. Well, Doctor, before we go on the break, I was just asking you, you're talking about the issue of corruption and all that. Can you point to any institution or individual and say there's corruption there?
Right. The most infamous, I'll call it, and clear corruption we see is in the area councils. Okay. Someone asked
Name
me.
one.
Someone called me. Someone asked me.
Which one of the area councils?
Someone, including the KMC. Someone asked me a couple of days ago. This KMC. I said, I'm not surprised. I'm not surprised because when Jagne came, you remember what happened in Birkama area council? They found all these ghost employees.
But all these are allegations.
No. I'm talking about
the corruption at the KMC is an allegation as we speak.
Well, it's still going on.
As an allegation.
It's still going on, and there is substantial amount of money, like $12 million. So someone has to account for that. As far as I know, maybe even more. But I'll give you an example of what happened at the Birkama area council. There's no. This is John Jagne came in. This is 98, 90.
Just to make it very clear, even in the case of the KMC, as it's an allegation, but we have seen the mayor has come out and do something about it.
Yes, of course.
So and these letters.
He has to.
I mean, you've been here. You have been following developments. Other than the area councils, where can you point your finger to and say there's corruption?
Listen, even in Parliament, the Minister of Health came out telling people, we have COVID money, and they give me ghost employees. They give me a list of ghost employees. You can remember that? Yes. Ghost employees, they are rampant. Listen, I believe, if you leave government today, you name probably in the books for another 6 months, and someone is taking that money, putting in their pockets. And this is serious, because as long as your name is on the list, the department is not going to hire people. It's going to say, oh, we have all this staff. Which is not true, because some of them are not there. They're not in the field.
But that means that the government is doing something. If the minister can come to the National Assembly and try to expose this thing, then it perhaps shows that the government is trying to do something in fighting corruption.
No, I'd say the minister is doing something because he's a smart man, he's honest.
But he's part of the government.
Yes, but there's only it's only him. What about the other departments? Are they doing the same thing? You don't tell me that there are no ghost employees in others.
Maybe they are.
I think they are.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Jagne. Still, on this issue of corruption, I think we may have to spend a long time on this.
That's fine. Yeah.
But we need to be specific, and
Yes.
we need to be honest as far as the problem in this country is concerned. You talked about, like, in the United States, you wouldn't pay a police officer for committing an offense. You see, but the institutions that are here to make the check and balances, do you think they are effective enough to address the real issues that is affecting our lives on a daily basis?
That's the problem. We need to change institutions. And it's going to be easy because we are in a digital age. Typical example, if there's a law in the Gambia that says the one who gives a bribe and the one who takes a bribe, they're equally guilty, you think that won't stop corruption to some degree? If I see you, I'm with my mobile phone in the street, and I see you giving money to the police officer, I take a picture. Right away, we have evidence to go to court. Someone has said, no, I didn't. Probably they'll say, oh, we didn't. We are just
we know bribery, as far as we are concerned in the Gambia, is against the law.
Yes.
Right, as we speak.
Yes.
Murder, when you go to prison, but people still do it. People still bribe.
But that's not enough. I'm telling you, the law is sort of it's short of addressing it fully. I just told you, if you make bribery and corruption, the one who bribes breaks the law, and who accepts it breaks the law. What's going to happen? You wouldn't think of bribing, because you're going to.
But currently, that's what the law is saying, and that's what the law is. But it's still happening.
Well, that's where we have to change the Gambian mindset.
When you talk about the Gambian mindset, what sort of mindset do we have?
All right. Typical example of
Yes.
of what our disease. You go to the market, typically, you find someone, an old man, an old woman, trying to sell something that she puts in the cup. He beats the underpot. He beats the underpot.
And don't forget, you have only 5 years to change people's mindset.
Listen, it's a revolution, and it's the determination. When there's determination and will, there's nothing impossible. They beat the underpot, right, to give you a false. Do we have, listen, you go around and buy bread, another one, okay? The baker doesn't weigh the bread. He just bakes anything and gives a price. Why don't we have rules to control that? That's corruption in a sense, because the baker is trying to make money, maximum money from the bag of flour. But another example is, of all places, Ramadan. Of all places, Ramadan. Why is it possible? I'm just not to show you how sick this society is. Why on Ramadan?
Is the society that is sick is the one you want to lead?
Yes, because I need to change it. It could be changed.
Okay.
Absolutely, it could be changed. By example, and rules and regulations and proper governance. You know, institutions that are set to balance the system, to change what has the status quo.
Okay.
It's not correct.
Okay.
Let me continue on Ramadan.
Right.
In Ramadan of all places, why does the shopkeeper who has bought his goods maybe 3-4 months ago, in Ramadan, everything goes up? Why?
Are you talking about system change here? But, I mean, you talk about cultural revolution.
Like
Exactly.
joy, right?
How can you relate cultural revolution to system change? Why not just pack up and go and join DOI? Because they've been prophesizing the system change and all that. But quickly on this aspect, you talk about these institutions. Right now what we see, most of the institutions police themselves. Say for example, the police from date from 65 or you as far back you can go. We don't have an IPCC, the Independent Police Complaint Commission. Right. We don't have that.
Yes.
We have the police who police themselves.
Yes.
We have all these institutions who are policing themselves. So you're talking about a cultural revolution? Are you talking about a system change? Because when we still continue, how long will it take to do this? Because to be honest with you, if you come in as the president and the same thing happen, the police policing themselves, institution policing themselves, then we are going nowhere.
Yes, we're going to go, sir, because we're going to change the whole thing. System change and cultural revolution go together. You can't leave one behind. What you just told me, we don't have independent institutions that are monitoring, but the police are monitoring themselves. That's what you just said.
Yes.
Yes, and all the others are monitoring themselves. The problem in the Gambia, we have rules and regulations. Probably they are very good, all right? But if they are implemented, they are not followed up. They are not followed up to see the end result. And if they follow up, they would see the negativity and the positivity, and then they could do something to make it work. That's one of our problems.
Okay.
Another problem we have. Another
Yes.
problem is I'm going to tell you right now. We still have in our law books, in our school system, the school system in particular, we are still using the same format that the colonials left us with. In the school system, it was just a system to govern us, to control us.
So you kept talking about the law.
Yeah.
So now let me ask you this. Is it the law or is it the implementation?
Both.
So you said the laws in this, as far as you are concerned, the laws are not fit for purpose.
No, I didn't say they are not fit for purpose. I'm telling you that there are still some laws in the books that are colonial laws that should have been changed.
An example?
Well, there are many. I'm not a lawyer, but I know there are.
Okay.
There are. If you go to laws, you see 18-something laws.
So what are the ones that we should change?
Oh, a lot of them. Most of them. I
Example?
just give you an example of how we can fight bribery and corruption. I said, if you make it possible that if you give, I'm not sure if this is in the law books, if you bribe.
Bribery is against the law.
Yeah, but it's against the law. Are they implementing it?
That's what I'm saying. Is it the implementation or is it the law?
Both. Some of it is the law, some of it is implementation.
But you see, in the Gambia, very few people will go to court and be willing to be a witness, for example, and said, yes, I went to, Mr. Caesar's office. He asks, if I would give you something to give me something back. Very few will do that. Yeah. Because, I will say this in the local language. So you get how do you change that mentality in 5 years, like you said?
We're going to revamp the education, the massive educational scheme. You see, the typical example of what's going on with the COVID. The people are still in denial. The government is not doing enough. They step on the media. When I was a kid, this is just post-colonial days. we used to have these mobile units going across the, educating people about health, about agriculture, about health and agriculture.
Well, that is happening now.
No, not very, it's not popular as it was when I was a kid. We are depending on.
We have social media, Dr. Jagne,
Yes.
as we speak right now.
Yeah,
the internet is here,
now,
and they are throwing
technology.
everything there to educate us, to inform us, to enlighten us as far as COVID is concerned, as far as X is concerned, Y is so. What do you think is the problem?
It's not enough. You tell me, if you're depending on NAWEC, how many times can you charge your mobile? If you're depending on NAWEC, if you have a Wi-Fi, how many times a week are you knocked out of the air because you cannot get your information? And it's expensive for some people to get that information. They rather tune on radio and listen to music. You see, it's a massive education that we need in this country. This country we need to reassess ourselves, change our mentality. Examples, very, very simple examples. You call a carpenter, you call him, I'm not talking bad about carpenters, or you call even a mechanic. All right, it happened to me. Or you call a masoner, come and work for me. Say, I'll come 10 o'clock. Why 10 o'clock? I was in Ghana as a lecturer. In Ghana, at 4:30 in the morning, 5, you hear the carpenters and the masons working. Why can't we do it in the
Do you know why they do that?
Well, yes, because of the sun is hot
Okay.
at noon.
I was in Ghana
Exactly,
too,
I know.
so.
The sun is hot at noon.
And
so
they take a break.
smart. So
Yeah.
they take a break from 12. They eat their fufu, they will lie down and sleep. And then they go back to work maybe about 5 when it's cool. That makes sense.
But these are operational issues. We are looking at policies here.
I think the mindset, the government mindset needs to be changed. We need to change our mindset. We are thinking.
I mean, talking
and
about
worse than
talking
that,
about
we are
changing
more
the mindset of the
individualistic
people.
than nationalistic.
This is a long-term project, Dr. Jagne. You have only 5 years to do all these things. Remember, you have only 5 years.
We can do it in 1 year. Depends your determination and the effort you put into it. We can do it in 1 year. It's not going to be easy, of course. It's not going to be easy.
Are you going to use the existing institutions, or you're going to create your own institution to achieve this in 1 year?
We're going to look at, all right, no system is perfect, right? There are things in the government that are good. Just like we had the 1997 Constitution, right? If we had picked and looked at it carefully and said, this should be our, because it's dictatorial, then we wouldn't have spent $160 million. The same thing, when you come, you look at all the institutions and see where the waste is going, where we think there are loopholes, there are problems that we should fix, and fix them. We're not going to dump everything. We're going to implement what's already in the books that we think they are good.
Okay.
They have not been implemented.
Doctor, you talked about the COVID-19.
Yes.
We want to know your recovery plan when you happen to be the president in the Gambia, because the whole world economy has a shock
Yes.
as far as COVID is concerned.
Right.
That's one. Two, you talk about information. You're talking about days when the public health, the Bodefel goes out and talk and clean our houses for us and stuff. Perfect. But right now, we have an issue. This COVID is here for 2 years. Majority of the people, I don't know the stats, do not actually believe what they are told. I want to know why, and what is your recovery plan as far as COVID is concerned?
Right. Human beings are very difficult animals, to put it that way. And the Gambia is plagued with what I call unfounded superstition.
But here you're contradicting yourself. I mean, you said you can change it.
I can change it. Yes,
But they are difficult.
They are difficult, of course. They are difficult, we can change. But listen, they are difficult, we can change. There's nothing
So why are they not being changed now?
Because people who should have done it are not doing the job.
Okay.
They don't know how to do it. They don't know how to. They have no clue of what they need to do to change the society.
So do one have to have a special personality to change?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. And what that one is, number one, you don't.
Can we move on the recovery plan, because it seems that time is going.
Yes.
Let's talk on the recovery plan, because
Yes.
it's very
Of the
important.
COVID.
Yeah.
All right. Going back to what you said, there is that we are in a situation where, as you know, probably more than half of the Gambians don't believe. Maybe I don't have the statistics. They don't believe in COVID. There's a lot of things that have been going in the media, and then we have this unfounded superstition that's also going. And then we have the belief, oh, if I'm going to die, I'm going to die anyway. That's one thing. And then I say, oh, I'm a Muslim, I'm going to pray, God will protect me. But I ask them one thing. I say, hey, if you're in your own house and you're told that there's a lion out in your gate, out of the gate waiting for you, are you going to get out? No. You're going to stay in the house until the lion is gone. It's the same scenario. We are different from animals because we have brains to use, and that's what God gave us, what we call Khalifa on this earth. So, after all that being said,
the recovery.
Recovery.
Looking at the economy.
Right. Yes. Recovery is a difficult situation, but it's not an easy thing. I was just reading about this morning how the world, rest of the world, United States, UK, European Union, they've took billions of dollars into COVID and plan a recovery. All right. Someone called them selfish because they're looking at the third world. We in the third world, we need to plan, not expecting, and if they do, not expecting the international community to help us. But if they do, that's fine. If they don't, we need to put a plan to recover. First of all, we have to educate the people again to understand that this is real. This is real, and we're going to have to work for a recovery. Okay.
So actually, right now, you don't have a plan.
Well, we are in the government. If we are
waiting. You need to have a plan.
We have a plan.
Failure to plan is planning to fail.
We have a plan.
Are you going to contest the election?
Yes, I am.
So you still don't have a plan 6 months?
No. We have a plan.
To recover the shock economy.
We are working on a plan. As I told you, we are working on a shadow government.
Okay.
All right. It's evolving.
Okay.
It's not static. It's evolving.
So
you might see a candidate. Oh, this man. Okay, we think about it.
So your manifesto is not done yet.
It is done.
So, and there is no plan as far as the COVID recovery is concerned.
When we presented our manifesto, COVID was new, and everyone thought it was going to end within a year.
But you would have thought you would have flip it in a different
way. Well, we are reviving it actually right now. We are reviving it. Because that's
can we say there is a lack of foresight?
No. There is foresight. Leadership? There is foresight because I told you a typical example lack of foresight is what I reiterate is the Gambia should have been self-sufficient in rice and export rice.
We had that, but we had COVID-19 here, COVID-20, COVID-21 now. We have the first wave, the second wave, the third wave, possibly the fourth wave. So you are going to present yourself before the Gambian people in less than 6 months. Your program should be there.
The whole world is hoping. The whole world is hoping that yes, COVID is around and may not even go. It might be around forever. Just like the flu has been around for many years and continues. We hope the whole world will adjust to a system that would condone and accept COVID.
Also live with COVID.
Yes. That being said, we need to put mechanisms in place. Okay. For example, empowering the youth and educating the youth, especially the youth who are the leaders of tomorrow. All right.
You just talked about America, Britain putting millions in the economy. Like America right now, they do $1 trillion in infrastructure, to revamp the economy.
Yes.
And you come in before us in December, and you still don't have a plan that we are going to look at and trust that you're going to reshape that economy.
We're going to reshape the economy. We are working on it, and it's evolving.
How?
If I give you any figures now, how we're going to do it is we're going to do it in a way that Gambians would be protected from the fallback of the COVID. We already know, for example, the tourist sector. We hope that by next year or before the end of the year, all Gambians will be vaccinated.
Money, right?
Yes, all Gambians will be vaccinated.
And we know for a fact Gambia today, even this government sitting here, they have relied heavily on grants and loans.
Yes.
The Jagne government, the Jawara government. We have not had the productive base of the economy that has been utilized to fund. And right now we have seen the economy have contracted because of the COVID. There is probably not going to be more money come the next budget to deal with these issues. How are you going to find that money? You're talking about educating the youth, empowering the youth. How are you going to find that money to do that? Already you said you're not going to hold your basket and start going around begging.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
You're not coming to...
No. The money is already there. Okay, it's not being used appropriately and properly. COVID money is still there, and it's still coming, and it's going to come.
In a way, 700-something million when I buy a bag of rice, sugar, onions, oil is gone. The Kamara Kundas and they all ate it. They all ate that money.
It's not an easy task. I mean, you ask me questions that I am trying to tell you. We are working on it, and it's evolving.
All right.
We have a plan. We have a federal government that's evolving in the making.
Okay.
At the same time, we have a plan for this country. All right? If we come to power, the issues that we're going to address are fundamental. Okay? Now you mentioned COVID. COVID is a headache for everyone. Gambia, the rest of the world. So all governments over the world are now thinking post-COVID. And we are not behind.
You mean including this government?
Well, I don't know about this government. I'm talking about a possible APP government. We're thinking of post-COVID, what's it going to do? I don't know about this government.
But it seems, Dr. Jagne, you have not been able to give us any concrete plan as far as your COVID-19 recovery plan is concerned.
Well,
you're just thinking about it now.
No. I told you we have a plan in the making. It's evolving. Okay. So all I'm going to tell you right now is that we're working on a plan for recovery, that includes making sure all Gambians are vaccinated.
I want us to move on. When are we going to get the timeline for this plan?
Okay.
Before the elections.
Before the election.
It can be November 30th.
No. Okay. Long before that. Hopefully. Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Well, Doctor. Okay.
Well, here you have Dr. Jagne, APP, saying they wouldn't be like other governments, depending on aid and loans, grants and all whatnot, and you'll be going around, like Sadie said, holding your basket begging. And this is a country, like I said earlier, that depends highly on tax. It's a tax-based economy. We have seen when this new government came in, there was a good news that the tax cost has increased under by the Gambia Revenue Authority under the Commissioner General Yankuba Dabo. And here you were reported to have said farmers will not pay tax under APP government.
Right. I said that within 3 years, hopefully by the end of the first 3 years, we'll come a mechanism where farmers wouldn't pay taxes. And we're going to do that. First of all, I also said that by the end of our APP government 3 years, we'll be exporting rice. Not only that, we will be able to have enough food in this country so we don't import any food, including oil. So what we are saying is all that dollars that stays in this country could be utilized in other sectors. And that includes building 2 or 3 skill training centers in all the regions, so that youths who are from the madrasa or from primary school or from whatever school, if they want wait, please.
But according to experts, I mean, we need to expand, the number of people that pay tax. So how economically sound is this idea of saying, farmers will not pay tax on the APP government?
Because farmers are paying taxes, but they are not benefiting from it. Why do you have to pay tax?
Doctor,
these are two different things.
No. They are not different things. They are one and the same. I don't think the money that the farmers are paying, okay, is going to affect a developmental plan of the government, of APP government. I just tell you that if we're going to export rice and use our groundnuts to produce oil, and then we grow everything that we need in this country.
We don't have mechanized farming here.
No,
what we have here is basically not serious farming. So when you talk about they're not going to pay tax, what sort of tax are they not going to pay? Are they going to go pay tax on their farming inputs?
No, I'm talking about yard tax, whatever they call it. Yard tax. Is it yard tax?
Yard tax.
Yes.
Okay, their rates.
Yes, their rates. Yard rates.
But over 60% of this
poor farmers. Poor farmers. If
what is going to be the measure? Who is a poor farmer? I'm a poor farmer.
Their income is going to be the measure. What else could it be their measure? Their income.
So they have to be farmers, farming on the land, for you to say they are farmers, or they just have to be farmers. Everybody is a farmer.
No. Your income. If you are here saying that you are a farmer, obviously you are a farmer, but you're a full-time farmer. You have another job, right? So you're not going to benefit. You're not going to benefit.
What income are you going to target this on? Are people taking home $1,000 or $2,000?
No, I can't tell you that. That's left to the Ministry of Finance, not this ministry, of course. Our Ministry of Finance to work out a plan for that. Exactly what's going to be mechanism and what's going to be yes.
As far as we are concerned, as far as Gambia is concerned, we're having a crisis.
Yes.
Land crisis, for example.
Yeah.
Housing crisis. These are two things that actually, as we speak right now, is really hurting the people of this country. Because somebody who is earning 3,000 or less than 3,000 from his job is looking for a house to rent, for example. Can't. Because he would either get himself in a house that he cannot pay. How do you deal with this land and housing crisis as we speak right now?
Under 20 seconds, time is up.
Yes. Oh, that's too short.
Yeah.
That's too short.
Under 20 seconds.
20 seconds. But let me tell you one thing. This is an issue that's really huge. But I know you mentioned, but I'm going to give typical examples. And this is going back to the security, actually. We have a security problem. The government should have come with a short-term, medium-term, and long-term plan. The immediate plan that need to be addressed is how are the policemen earning $2,000, $3,000 going to do their job? They have no protection.
Well, I'm afraid that's going to be a topic for another day. I mean, the time is up. Time is up.
You.
Thank you very much, CDCC. Thank you very much, Dr. Jagne of the All People's Party. Thank you for coming on the program. Well, to the area councils and the GRA, Yankuba Dawa and Co, you can start preparing. On the APP, farmers will not be paying tax. So see how best you can strategize to get to get more tax for the government on the other end. Well, viewers, with that we complete this program. You can join the repeat on Sunday at 10 a.m. Until then, bye bye.
Thank you so much.